His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah and His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah inaugurated the Martyrs Park project in Sharq area. His Highness the Emir was greeted at the venue by the Deputy Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al Sabah and Chairman of the Financial and Administrative Affairs Department at the Emiri Diwan Abdulaziz Saud Ishaq. His Highness the Emir toured the park and listened to a briefing from Abdulaziz Ishaq on the project facilities which show the cultural landmarks of the State of Kuwait. His Highness the Emir was accompanied by the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim, His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al-Muhammad Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Muhammad Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, and the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Jarrah Al-Sabah. The Martyrs Park, previously known as the Green Belt Park, is erected on a 220,000 square metre area and includes the Monument of the Constitution, which was inaugurated on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the enacting of the Constitution of the State of Kuwait. The park also includes the Peace Park and the Martyr Museum, which depicts the most important battles of the State of Kuwait, Al-Riga, Al-Sarif and Al-Jahra, in addition to fountains, waterfalls, lakes, trees, an open theatre, a museum for Kuwaiti plants and wild birds, and a laboratory for rare wild plants. Her Excellency the President of South Korea, Park Geun-hye, and her accompanying official delegation left the country this morning following a 3-day official visit to Kuwait, during which she held official talks with His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah. The Korean leader was seen off at Kuwait International Airport by His Highness the Emir, His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim, His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister,
على الشرف رائد محمد المشعان، على الشرف جاء تسليم سيد.
The Korean leader was seen off at Kuwait International Airport by His Highness the Emir, His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem, His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Deputy Minister of Emir Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al-Sabah, and ministers as well as senior commanders of the Army, Police and National Guard. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at noon today at the Emiri Airport in the presence of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, and the Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt and her accompanying delegation on the occasion of her official visit to the country. The two sides discussed bilateral relations, issues of mutual interest and the latest regional and international developments. The meeting was attended by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Deputy Minister of Emir Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al-Sabah, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mbarak Al-Sabah, and the head of the accompanying mission of honour and advisor at His Highness the Premier's Diwan Sheikh Dr. Rasha Ahmoud Al-Jaber Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of Bulgaria, Rosen Plevneliev, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of Bulgaria, Rosen Plevneliev, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah will patronise and attend the 2013-2014 graduation ceremony for excellent students at the Public Authority for Applied Education and Training, or the PAAET. The ceremony will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, at 10:30 a.m. at the Theatre of Basic Education College in Al Ardiya area. Under the auspices of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah and in the presence of His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, the foundation stone of the Kuwait National Petroleum Company KNPC Clean Fuel Project, or CFP, was laid at Mina Abdullah this morning. The ceremony was attended with several sheikhs. Ministers, government officials, advisors to His Highness the Premier's Diwan and senior state officials, as well as members of the Arab and Foreign Diplomatic Corps in Kuwait. Addressing the ceremony, the Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs, Dr. Ali Saleh Al-Amir, said the CFP adds a lot to the efforts exerted by the Kuwaiti oil industry in achieving the best use of the country's major wealth, enhancing the efficiency of oil products and consolidating their competitiveness on world markets. Al-Amir then expressed gratitude to His Highness the Emir for sponsoring the event and to His Highness the Prime Minister for attending. Meanwhile, KNPC Chairman Engineer Mohammed Ghazi Al-Mteri said the CFP will achieve a quantum shift in Kuwait's oil industry as it will boost the capacity of the two refineries of Abdullah and Al-Ahmadi ports to 800,000 barrels daily. The project will transform the two refineries into an integrated merchant refining complex that meets the diversified requirements of the world oil market. Following the ceremony, His Highness the Prime Minister stressed the importance of the CFP as a civilized achievement for Kuwait, revealing the country's keenness on promoting the oil industry so that it can be more effective in terms of power security. His Highness the Prime Minister added the project will help secure the oil sector, a pioneering role in providing clean and safe energy, pointing out that Kuwait's keenness on using its oil wealth must not come at the expense of the country's international commitments towards protecting the environment and curbing climate change. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at the Emiri Airport the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim said today that the next parliamentary session, scheduled to be held on March 10, 2015, will have a strict monitoring role. In a press statement, Al-Ghanim expected the government to be ready to present the required answers to the reports submitted by the Audit Bureau regarding the observations and violations in the final accounts of ministries and governmental bodies. He then stressed the Parliament's keenness on curbing the violations in some of the governmental establishments, noting that settling the piled monitoring reports of the Audit Bureau is considered part of the Assembly's monitoring role. Finally, Speaker Al-Ghanim declared that the session due on March 12, 2015 will be dedicated for discussing the government's failure to apply the laws enacted by the Assembly, clarifying that the meeting will focus on 7 main laws or whatever deemed fit by the Parliament. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today the Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt and her accompanying delegation on the occasion of her official visit to the country. The meeting was attended by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mbarak Al-Sabah, Advisor at the Emir Diwan Mohammed Abdullah Abu Al-Hassan, Advisor at His Highness the Premier's Diwan Sheikh Professor Dr. Rasha Al-Hmoud Al-Sabah, the Director of Europe Department at the Foreign Ministry Ambassador Walid Ali Al-Khbezi, and Kuwait's Ambassador to Denmark. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today the Minister of Social Affairs and Labour and Minister of State for Planning and Development Affairs Hind Sabih Barrak Al-Sabih, accompanied by members of the Follow-up and Evaluation Committee at the Supreme Council for Planning and Development. The meeting was attended by the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mbarak Al-Sabah. The government of Kuwait is exerting efforts to protect the youth from deviant ideologies which are falsely linked to Islam and sparked by regional conflicts, and underlined that jihad should be placed in its proper context in harmony with Islam's noble objectives. The Minister of Justice and Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Yaqub Al-Sani', briefed the Cabinet yesterday on a fatwa issued by the Ministry's Islamic Affairs Ifta Authority regarding conflicts in the region and how to protect youth from their consequences. Al-Sani' said the fatwa called for seeking religious scholars for advice and maintaining unity of the nation, highlighted the state's obligations to protect national interests of citizens, forbidding the joining of extremist groups that undermine the unity of Muslims and allow their murder, and warning the youth against joining these deviant groups. The Minister of Finance, Anas Al-Saleh, briefed the Cabinet meeting chaired by His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, on excluding Kuwait's name from the Financial Action Task Force's FATF's list of fighting money laundering and terrorism financing. The exclusion of Kuwait's name from the list will pave the way for the creation of a healthy investment environment, thus honouring His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah's vision. Meanwhile, the Cabinet approved a Bill of Health Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding with Hungary that would exchange expertise and training. It also approved 2 draft decrees, one regarding Kuwait's contributions to the capital of the Asian Investment Bank for infrastructure, which aimed at improving infrastructure of Asian countries. The second draft decree dealt with the establishment of the Public Authority for Youth, which is aimed at emphasizing the national identity, respect of democracy, freedoms and rule of law, in addition to rejecting violence and accepting the opinion of others. On the other hand, the Cabinet took note of the messages addressed to His Highness the Prime Minister from French and Maltese Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius and George William Vella, respectively, to visit their countries. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al briefed the Cabinet on the visit of the South Korean President Park Geun-hye and her talks with the officials that aimed at further boosting bilateral relations and cooperation. The Cabinet then appointed Dr. Haitham Saleh Al-Athari as Undersecretary of the Ministry of Education, Khalid Jassim Shimali as Undersecretary of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and Dr. Adil Hussein Al-Msaid as Assistant Undersecretary at the Ministry of Higher Education. The Cabinet also named Yusuf Sulaiman Al-Fawzan as Director General of the General Directorate of Civil Aviation and appointed Fahd Sulaiman Lugayan, Khalid Mbarak Al-Shaibi, Imad Faleh Al-Jilwi and Ahmed Isa Al-Ghoud as members. Iraqi security forces, backed by other allied fighters, launched a large-scale military operation to recapture the city of Tikrit from the so-called Islamic State group, a major step in a campaign to reclaim territory in northern Iraq controlled by the IS militants. Sources said that forces were attacking Tikrit from different directions, backed by artillery and airstrikes by Iraqi fighter jets, adding that the militants were dislodged from some areas outside the city. Meanwhile, U.S. military officials said that a coordinated military mission to retake the country's second-largest city of Mosul will likely begin in April or May and involve up to 25,000 Iraqi troops. In another related development, Australia's Prime Minister Tony Abbott confirmed an extra 300 regular Australian troops will go to Iraq, joining 200 already there for a training course. The move follows requests from both the governments of Iraq and the United States. The Ramallah-based Palestinian Authority is planning to lodge its first case with the International Criminal Court next month against Israel's crimes against the Palestinians. Officials of the Executive Committee of the Palestine Liberation Organization said one of the first important steps will be filing a complaint against Israel at the ICC on April 1st over the 2014 Gaza war and settlement activity. Our correspondent in Ramallah, Fatma Abdul Karim, has the details in the following report.
Senior officials of the Palestine Liberation Organization said the national team working on the cases to be submitted to the International Criminal Court will be ready to present an initial legal memorandum against Israel early April, right on time with the full official accession of Palestine into the International Court.
We are now preparing to file two cases, one over the settlement expansion, which is regarded as an open war against the Palestinian people, and the other is the war crimes committed against our people during the latest assault on Gaza. We are preparing to file the cases next April.
The legal experts on the national team said they are going on despite the political pressures.
Palestinians, yes, they have the will, but I think we can't specify a specific date. And here we have to be ready and to work on our files in a professional way. And when it becomes ready, we will proceed.
The ICC will formally take in Palestine as a full member by April and is expected to issue the results of a primary investigation it has carried out to determine its position on the Israeli unilateral actions in the occupied territories. Palestinians insist on going through their legal battle amidst rising political pressures, which may affect not only the Palestinian Authority, but also possibly the work of the ICC. Fatma Abdul Karim, State of Kuwait Television, Ramallah, Palestine.
Yemen's President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi offered the Saudi capital Riyadh as a possible venue for the resumption of UN-sponsored talks with the Houthi rebels, who have seized the capital Sana'a. According to officials, Hadi offered the headquarters of the Six-Nation Gulf Cooperation Council in Riyadh as an alternative venue if the Houthi rebels continue to oppose moving the talks from Sana'a, which has been under their control since September, to either Aden or Taiz in the south. President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi made the offer during a meeting with tribal leaders in Aden, where he has been based since fleeing house arrest in Sana'a last month. As Egypt sees a spike in bomb attacks over the past few days, the capital Cairo was hit by 2 blasts overnight following a deadly explosion earlier in the day. The health ministry said that 2 people were killed and 9 wounded, including 9 policemen, in a bomb explosion outside the Egyptian Supreme Court in the capital. Meanwhile, the Interior Ministry said that 2 other minor bombs were set off in Cairo, one outside a fire station and another in front of a police station, but there were no casualties. The latest attacks came a day after 2 civilians died in a bombing outside a police station in southern Egypt. The World Humanitarian Summit's Middle East and North Africa consultation opened today in Jordan's Shuna area. Speaking at the summit, the United Nations Under-Secretary-General for Humanitarian and Emergency Relief Coordinator Valerie Amos said that regional security was one of the main issues to be discussed. Representatives from regional governments, humanitarian and development organizations and other sectors were also set to discuss improvements to the international aid response in the region.
The issues that we're going to talk about here, which is how to protect people affected by conflict, how to deal with vulnerability and fragility in countries and sustain their futures over time, how to really use innovation in the way that we work as humanitarian workers, particularly thinking about how we can work with others, for example, in the development arena in some of the countries in which we work, and how can we better link humanitarian and development work. This is very important.
Iran rejected as unacceptable US President Barack Obama's demand that it freeze sensitive nuclear activities for at least 10 years, but said it would continue talks aiming at securing a deal. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif was quoted as saying that his country will not accept excessive and illogical demands, adding that negotiations underway in Switzerland would nonetheless carry on. Zarif and US Secretary of State John Kerry sat down for a second day of negotiations to persuade Iran to restrain its nuclear program in exchange for relief from sanctions that have crippled the oil exporters' economy. The two sides have set a deadline of late March to reach a framework agreement and June for a comprehensive final settlement that would curb Iran's nuclear activity to ensure it cannot put to bomb making in return for the lifting of the economic sanctions. And moving to local financial news, the three main indices of the Kuwait Stock Exchange were mixed by the end of today's trading session, as the price index gained 10 points and settled at the level of 6,557 points. Meanwhile, the KSX 15 index lost 1 point to reach 1,100 points. The share of Al Dira Holding Company was the top gainer of the day, while that of the Usul Investment Company suffered the biggest loss. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. His Highness the Emir and His Highness the Crown Prince inaugurate the Al Shahid Park project in Sharq area. His Highness the Emir receives Her Excellency the Prime Minister of Denmark on the occasion of her visit to the country. Under the auspices of His Highness the Emir, His Highness the Prime Minister inaugurates the Clean Fuel Project at Mina Abdullah. And the Yemeni President suggests the Saudi capital Riyadh as a possible venue for talks with the Houthi rebels. Thank you for joining us.